Liverpool have done it again. We've stolen another young starlet from a rival team. This time it's Arsenal. Last time it was Chelsea with Rio Ngumoha. This time it's Arsenal with Will Wright, the 17-year-old striker who is turning heads because this kid is the real deal, Aaron. And I know, I'll admit, I didn't really know much about Will Wright before today, and I think you would say the same thing. But there's some important things here that we can draw from this Will Wright coup that Liverpool have just pulled off. First and foremost, they're getting a young elite goal scorer, 17-year-old who's a 6'3" goal scorer. He scored over 50 goals for Salford City in 24-25. That in and of itself, Aaron, is pretty incredible. Now, I think there's some principles here. First and foremost, we know Liverpool's academy investment has been huge over the last couple of years. And now we're seeing the habit of Liverpool snapping up these British prodigies. Thinking about Rio Ngumoha and now Will Wright, and there are others, Aaron, what are you thinking about how Liverpool aren't just, obviously we know what they're doing in this transfer window, they're planning for the future as well. Talk to me about that.
Everything football. It's Michael Edwards, isn't it?
Yeah.
Michael Edwards is, a planner. This guy, in his first stint at the club, brought some superstars in, brought some very, very good kids through the academy as well. And I think this is where we need to be strengthening. We need to be, what we don't want to do is go out and spend, 400 million here and there because we need to continually, update the talent that we have in the squad.
Yeah.
We need to bring through the kids, develop youngsters, bring them in 15, 16 years old where they're not getting their, a more attractive proposition rather than, signing a contract with some of these other clubs and develop them. I mean, Liverpool, there's no better place in football right now than to develop at Liverpool Football Club.
Absolutely. 100%. I completely agree. And that brings me to this third point of Liverpool's superior development philosophy. They have a philosophy that is clearly working and clearly turning these young stars' heads, right? Rio Ngumoha wanted to come to Liverpool. He said, goodbye, Chelsea. I'm done with you. I want to go to Liverpool. Same thing with Will Wright. Here's what happened. Arsenal had a deal agreed for, I think, 200,000 pounds. Then Liverpool swooped in and said, Will, you should come here. Here's what we're going to offer you. Here's what you can do for your career. And Will Wright was like, well, yeah, I'm going to pick that. So he did. And the deal is done. Liverpool are bringing him in. But Liverpool they've built this infrastructure. This is what I've been trying to say on this channel for probably the past year. Liverpool have built this infrastructure after FSG came in. And we're starting to see this flourish, right? We're starting to see the biggest names in world football want to come to Liverpool. The biggest British stars who are 17 years and younger want to come to Liverpool. This is a huge, huge deal for a club that I think doesn't have just aspirations to win for the next 2 or 3 years. I think they're trying to dominate for the next decade and beyond. And this brings me to maybe the most important part. And Aaron, you and I talked about this the other day. Liverpool clearly have a character-first approach with the players that they want to bring in. And there's a lot that kind of goes into this, but there is, I don't know how many people know this, but there is Alex Inglethorpe. He has an approach with his academy players, and it's very detailed. And here's what he's done. He limits these young players to driving vehicles that have 1.3 liters or less. And they have a cap on their yearly wages, 50,000 pounds. And he wants to do that because he wants to keep these players grounded. Now, if you were a young player and you were bent on making a ton of money, that might not sound very appealing. But to the right type of player who is bent on furthering their football career, not just making money and being a big name, that's the right approach. And the players that choose that, Aaron, are the players that Liverpool want at their club. I think this character first approach might be the most important part of Liverpool's recruiting, because when you have the players with the right character, as we see in their first team, that's just going to that's just going to bode well. Talk to me about what you see with that vein, because you mentioned this the other day.
It's not necessarily just about, developing the kids the right way, but it's also getting the parents buy into it as well. Think about the parent, seeing a club that wants what's best for their kid as well in terms of development. Keeping their kids grounded is everything. And ultimately, the parents want the buy-in from the club as much as the kids do, essentially.
Yep.
But like I said, Liverpool are a huge name as well. So, I think if you can get the parent and the kid on board, and Liverpool seem very, very good at doing this because they bring through some absolute superstars through the academy, then, I think it's a win-win situation, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you've got your own youngster there behind you, Aaron, which is awesome. Fantastic.
In the background.
No, I love it. All right. Let us know what you think in the comments. I think Will Wright is a massive deal for Liverpool, one for the future. I will leave it at that. Get your comments in below.